What's up, Instagram? Listen, really quickly, a lot of y'all been inboxing me. Some of you have been texting me, asking me what is going on, what is up with this video that Martell Holt has decided to post today. I really don't know. I have no idea where his mind is, why the hell he done took it to social media at that. However, since he keeps saying he got some stuff to get off his chest and he got to put the truth out and all of that, then I'm gonna get some stuff off my chest too. Like, it's not gonna be no one-sided anything ever. So I'm waiting just like y'all, and I'm waiting to hear what his truth is, so that way I can go ahead and put my truth out as well. You know what I'm saying? And my truth gonna be the truth. So I'm waiting like you guys. I don't know what he's thinking. Kind of disappointed, to be honest, because I thought we had gotten past the whole going to social media thing, but it's all good. But y'all can stop inboxing me, because I don't know. I'm waiting too.
There are some reality TV stories that begin with a relationship but somehow end up becoming a story about survival. And when it comes to Arionne Curry and Martell Holt, the real heartbreak was never simply about two women. It was about one man, one marriage, years of secrets, broken promises, and two women who were forced into the same story from completely different sides. For years, viewers of Love and Marriage Huntsville watched Martell and Martell Holt's marriage crack under the weight of infidelity. Behind the scenes was Arionne Curry, the woman whose relationship with Martell became one of the most talked about scandals connected to the show. Arionne eventually spoke publicly about her side of the relationship, while Martell spent years explaining why she stayed, why she finally walked away, and what it took to rebuild her life. And that is where this story gets complicated, because when a marriage collapses, people want a villain. They want someone to blame, but real life is rarely that simple. Martell was the wife trying to save a family, Arionne was the woman who became deeply involved with a married man, and Martell was the person at the center of both worlds. But what nobody expected was that years later, the story would still be following them.
If I wanted to walk a straight and narrow path, I'll be with Martell. Martell somewhere crying on live because I'm on live with my baby daddy, Paris daddy. Martell is for the streets. And this sitting up here trying to be on live and justify the fact that her nigga cheating with whoever he cheating with. This on live probably somewhere sad crying because her nigga ain't tell her the truth. And y'all still worried about Martell saying I'm 15% the whole time he's somewhere saying, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I love you. Martell. Like, what is wrong with y'all? If I wanted to walk a straight and narrow path,
Before the television cameras ever captured the tension between Martell and Martell, there was a much longer history behind that marriage. Martell and Martell had built a life together long before viewers knew their names. They married in 2008 and eventually became parents to 4 children. Their relationship was not just romantic. It was also connected to business, family, ambition, and the future they were trying to create together. That history matters because it explains why Martell did not simply walk away the first time she discovered that Martell had been unfaithful. When Love and Marriage Huntsville premiered, viewers were introduced to a couple who appeared to have built something substantial together. They were entrepreneurs, parents, and longtime partners. Their relationship had already survived years of real-life challenges before cameras entered the picture. Then the cheating became impossible to ignore. Martell eventually acknowledged infidelity, and the name Arionne Curry became connected to the story. Public reporting from the time described Curry as Martell's longtime affair partner, while Curry herself later gave interviews explaining her version of how their relationship began and developed. And this is where the story becomes emotional, because Martell was not dealing with a random rumor. She was dealing with the realization that the person she had built a marriage with had created another emotional world outside their relationship. In a 2021 interview, Martell explained that she had tried to save the marriage because of the foundation they had built, their family, and the years they had invested together. She said she believed in giving people chances, but eventually reached a point where she felt there were no more chances left. Think about what that means. Sometimes leaving is not the hardest part. Sometimes the hardest part is admitting that staying is hurting you more. And Melody's decision did not happen in a vacuum. The entire situation was playing out while millions of viewers were forming opinions about her marriage. Every argument became entertainment. Every confession became a headline. Every new revelation changed the way people looked at the people involved. Then there was Arionne. According to interviews attributed to Curry, she met Martell through mutual connections and eventually developed a serious relationship with him. She described spending significant time with him, traveling together, and becoming emotionally attached. She also claimed that she was told different things about the state of his marriage and that she believed their relationship was more serious than the public understood. But there is an uncomfortable truth here. Even if Arionne believed Martell's promises, the marriage still existed, and that distinction became one of the biggest reasons viewers reacted so strongly to her. Some people saw her as the other woman who knowingly became involved in a marriage. Others argued that Martell was the person who made vows and therefore carried the greatest responsibility for betraying his wife. And then there were people who believed the situation was far more complicated than either side wanted to admit. That debate never really disappeared. Instead, it followed Arionne and Melody everywhere. But here's the twist. The two women did not create the triangle by themselves. Martell did. Yet much of the public anger was directed toward the women. For Melody, Arionne became a symbol of everything that had gone wrong inside her marriage. For Arionne, Melody represented the woman she believed stood between her and the future she thought Martell had promised. And Martell was caught between two realities he had helped create. That is why this story was never simply about jealousy. It was about expectations. It was about promises. And most importantly, it was about what happens when one person's decisions leave several other people trying to rebuild their lives. As the years passed, Arionne continued to speak publicly about her relationship with Martell. In one widely reported interview, she described repeatedly ending the relationship and claimed that Martell continued finding ways to contact her. She also said she had become exhausted by the drama and no longer trusted him. These were her allegations and her account of the relationship, not independently established facts about every detail. That distinction matters, because once a story becomes reality TV history, people sometimes forget that interviews are still someone's version of events. And the same thing happened when Arionne discussed Melody. She made claims about Melody and the marriage that were strongly disputed by viewers and became part of the larger public argument. Melody, meanwhile, had her own perspective. She repeatedly rejected the idea that she was responsible for Martell's choices. In a later interview, she explained that she had given him opportunities to change, but eventually decided that she could no longer continue living inside a marriage where her vows were repeatedly being violated. That was the difference between their stories. Arionne talked about the relationship she believed she had with Martell. Melody talked about the marriage she had already built with him. Same man, two completely different realities. And then came one of the biggest turning points. Melody left. In April 2020, she walked away from the marriage, and the divorce process followed. Public reports later confirmed that the divorce was finalized in 2021. But leaving Martell did not mean leaving the story, because by then, the affair had produced another permanent connection. Martell and Arionne became parents to a son. That meant Melody and Arionne could no longer simply exist as two women connected to the same man through an old scandal. Their lives remained connected through the children and the complicated reality of co-parenting and blended families. And suddenly, the question became much bigger than who was right, who was wrong, who won, because there were children watching all of this unfold. That changes everything. Years later, the public still saw moments that reopened old wounds. In 2022, after Martell and Melody took a family vacation with their children, Arionne addressed questions from followers on Instagram Live. Reports said she confirmed she was single at the time and responded to a question about whether Martell had played her or sold her a dream by giving a complicated yes and no answer. That response was revealing for one reason. It showed that even after all the years, the relationship was still emotionally complicated, because sometimes a person can know something was unhealthy and still have feelings attached to it. You can recognize that someone hurt you and still miss the version of them you thought you knew. You can understand that a relationship was wrong for you and still grieve the future you imagined. And that may be one of the most human parts of Arionne's story. But Melody's journey was changing too. She was no longer simply the betrayed wife. She was becoming a woman trying to build an identity beyond her marriage. That transformation is important because for years the public conversation around Melody was centered on Martell, his cheating, his choices, his relationship with Arionne, his divorce from Melody. But eventually, Melody started moving the conversation back toward herself, her businesses, her children, her independence, her future. And that is where the word rebirth starts to make sense. Rebirth does not mean pretending the pain never happened. It means refusing to let the pain become your entire identity. Melody did not erase the years she spent with Martell. She learned how to move forward despite them. And Arionne's journey was different. She also had to figure out what her identity looked like after being known primarily as Martell Holt's mistress. That label followed her everywhere. It became the first thing many people thought about when her name appeared. Imagine trying to build a life while millions of strangers believe they already know your entire character because of one chapter. That is a heavy burden. And yet, Arionne continued appearing in conversations surrounding Love and Marriage Huntsville. In 2024, she was still involved in public discussions connected to the show, including a December interview involving Martell and discussion of another alleged relationship within the show's wider circle. She was no longer completely invisible. But visibility is not always the same thing as acceptance. Sometimes the more people see you, the harder they judge you. That is the strange price of reality television. The audience can watch your life, but they do not necessarily know your heart. They see the argument. They do not see the silence afterward. They see the Instagram post. They do not see the hours before it was written. They see the relationship. They do not see every conversation that happened behind closed doors. And this is why the Arionne versus Melody debate has survived for so long. People are not only debating two women, they're debating what accountability should look like. Can someone be hurt and still be responsible for their choices? Can a person be betrayed and still make mistakes? Can someone who entered a complicated relationship genuinely experience heartbreak? The answer to all three questions can be yes. That does not make every decision acceptable. It simply makes the people involved human. But nobody carried the same consequences. Melody lost a marriage. Arionne deigned a child with a man who was still married when their relationship began. Martell lost his marriage and continued to live with the consequences of choices that had affected multiple people. And the children inherited a complicated family history they never asked for. That may be the most painful part of all, because adults can argue online, adults can give interviews, adults can post statements. Children do not get to choose the circumstances they are born into, and that is why Melody's decision to focus on her children became such an important part of her rebuilding process. She was not just trying to become stronger for herself, she was trying to create stability for her family. That is what makes betrayal so complicated. People often imagine revenge as the strongest response, but sometimes the strongest response is rebuilding, starting over, making money, raising your children, finding your voice, learning to sleep peacefully again, and realizing that the person who hurt you no longer gets to decide how you see yourself. For Arionne, rebirth had to mean something different. It had to mean separating herself from a relationship that had consumed so much of her public identity. Because if every chapter of her story begins with Martell, then she never really gets to become her own person. And perhaps that is the real challenge waiting on the other side of this saga. Not whether Arionne defeats Melody, not whether Melody defeats Arionne, but whether either woman can finally stop allowing a man from their past to define their future. There is another uncomfortable layer to this story too. the audience. We cannot ignore the role viewers played. Reality television needs conflict. Conflict creates conversation. Conversation creates ratings, and ratings keep shows alive. But there are real people behind those episodes. Real mothers, real fathers, real children, real heartbreak. Once viewers choose sides, it becomes easy to forget that these are human beings. Team Melody, Team Arionne, Team Martell. Those labels may make great social media arguments, but real life does not divide itself so neatly. There are consequences on every side, and as the years went by, Melody's life continued changing. She eventually announced that she was leaving Love and Marriage Huntsville in January 2025, closing another major chapter of the television story that had made her a household name among reality TV viewers. Think about that for a second. The woman who entered the show with her husband eventually reached a point where she was willing to leave the platform that had documented so much of their relationship. That is not a small decision. It represents distance, growth, and perhaps a desire to stop living inside a chapter that had already taken so much from her. But the past had not completely disappeared. In 2025, legal developments involving Martell and Melody continued to receive attention, showing that even after the television chapter changed, the personal conflict had not simply vanished overnight. Reports described a domestic violence conviction involving Martell and Melody and ongoing legal tension between the former spouses. And suddenly, the old story looked different. This was no longer simply reality TV entertainment. It was about boundaries, family, legal consequences, and the difficult process of separating from someone after years of shared history. That is when you realize something. Divorce is not always the end of a relationship. Sometimes it is the beginning of learning how to have a completely different relationship with the person you once loved, especially when children are involved, especially when the entire world watched you fall apart, and especially when another person remains permanently connected to the story. That is why Arionne Curry and Melody Holt may never become friends. Maybe they never should. Maybe forgiveness does not always require closeness.
Maybe healing sometimes means accepting that two people can both move forward without ever agreeing about what happened. And maybe that is the real rebirth. Not winning, not revenge, not proving the other woman wrong, just peace. For Melody, peace may mean building a life where her identity is no longer centered around the man who betrayed her. For Arionne, peace may mean becoming more than the woman who was introduced to the public through an affair. And for their children, peace means having adults around them who understand that old battles should not become permanent burdens. Because at the end of the day, the children did not create the triangle. They did not make the promises. They did not break the vows. They did not choose the cameras. They simply arrived in a complicated story and deserve the chance to write their own chapter. And that brings us to the question nobody can completely answer. Who really won? Was it Melody because she walked away and rebuilt herself? Was it Arionne because she eventually became a mother and continued living her life despite years of criticism? Or did neither woman win because both had to carry scars from the same relationship? Maybe the answer is none of them. Maybe the real winner is the person who finally stops fighting for validation from the people who hurt them. Because sometimes rebirth does not look dramatic. It does not come with a viral announcement. It does not require a public victory. Sometimes rebirth is waking up one morning and realizing you no longer feel the need to explain yourself. It is looking at an old photograph and feeling nothing but gratitude that you survived that chapter. It is watching the person who once controlled your emotions become just another part of your past. And that is what makes the story of Arionne Curry and Melody Holt so fascinating. They began on opposite sides of a painful triangle. One was the wife, one was the other woman. But years later, both women were forced to confront the same question. Who are you when the relationship that defined your public story is finally over? Melody answered that question by rebuilding. Arionne is still writing her answer. And Martell? His choices remain part of both women's histories, but neither woman has to spend the rest of her life standing inside his shadow. That may be the biggest lesson hiding underneath all the drama. A betrayal can change you. A broken marriage can change you. Public humiliation can change you. But none of those things have to become your final identity. So when you look back at this entire story, don't just ask whether you are Team Melody or Team Arionne. Ask something deeper. What should accountability look like when love becomes betrayal? Can someone make a terrible choice and still deserve the chance to grow? Can a betrayed woman rebuild without spending her whole life fighting the woman connected to her husband's betrayal? And most importantly, can everybody involved finally choose peace over proving a point? Because perhaps the biggest twist is that this story was never really about one woman defeating another. It was about two women trying to survive the consequences of loving the same man. One lost a marriage, one lost the dream she believed she was building, and both were left with the same impossible task: take the broken pieces and build something new. That is what rebirth really means. Not forgetting, not pretending, not rewriting history. Just refusing to let yesterday decide tomorrow. And maybe one day when people say Arionne Curry or Melody Holt, the first thing they remember will no longer be Martell Holt. Maybe they will remember the women they became after him. Because sometimes the most powerful ending to a betrayal story is not revenge, it is becoming so whole that the betrayal no longer has the power to define you. So now I want to hear from you. Do you believe Melody Holt and Arionne Curry should be judged equally for what happened? Was Martell ultimately responsible for creating the situation that damaged both relationships? And after everything that has happened, do you think Arionne and Melody can ever truly move beyond the past? Tell me what you think in the comments, because this story may have started with love, but the chapter that matters most could be the one about what happened after the love was gone.